Good morning, boys and girls. Why don't we go ahead and come to the carpet, sit down in our squares, crisscross applesauce, hands in our lap, and ready for our lesson. So yesterday we got to talk about food chains. We learned about the ecosystem. We even learned what would happen if bees were all gone. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun yesterday learning all about the ecosystem and all about the food chain. So today, I want to start us off with a question. And I want you to raise your hand up high if you think you know the answer to this question. Have you ever wondered what happens to all the wild animals when it snows? How do they survive? I know that here in Texas, we don't get much snow. So I don't know if I've ever even thought about the animals and the winter snow. I don't know. I know that's so sad. So I want you to tell me, raise your hand and tell me, how do you think they survive in the winter? Yes, Johnny, thank you for that wonderful, confident, quiet hand. Great answer. Johnny thinks that the animals survive in the winter in trees. I would think that too. Maybe in a hole in a tree or something. Great observation. So some more questions I know for sure is, how do they keep warm? Where do they go? I mean, the questions are endless. So today we are going to read the book Over and Under the Snow. And hopefully by the end of this book, we will get some answers to our questions. Today, we're also going to be able to observe and describe how the physical characteristics of an animal's environment support the population in winter. Now, we're probably thinking the environment, the population. Well, yeah, if every winter all of the animals died, what would happen to the population? It would become extinct. So of course these animals need to find places and they need to know what to do every winter in order to survive and use the environment around them to help continue the population of their species. All right, class, so we're gonna get started reading the book Over and Under the Snow. That was a great book. I learned so much and I hope you did too. So now we're going to turn our attention to the board. As you can see here on the board, I have a worksheet that says, where do animals go in the winter? As you can also see, there's some blanks and some places to fill in. So we see there's the mud, the burrows, the log, the cave, and the tree. What I also have here is some live photos, some real photos of some of the animals that we saw. So here I have a black bear, a cardinal, a voles. Honestly, I had never seen a voles before. A bullfrog, a chipmunk, and a snake. So what we're going to do, class, is together we are going to fill out this sheet. We're going to use what we learned from the book to just go over our understanding of where these animals go and how they survive these winters. So what I want you to do is with your hand up raised, your quiet hand, your still hand, I want you to pick an animal and then you're going to go ahead and tell us where it goes in the winter and you can stick it up there yourself. Okay, so who is my first volunteer? Wow, thank you, Jamie, for that quiet and still hand. Who would you like to pick? Okay, so Jamie picked the snake. Now, where do you think the snake goes in the winter? Correct. They go in the log. So why don't you go ahead and go put the snake up there in the log. Thank you. Okay, my next. Yes, Carlos. Thank you for that quiet hand. All right, Carlos picked the chipmunk. Now, where does the chipmunk go in the winter? Yes, correct. It goes in the burrows. Good job. Okay, next. Yes, thank you for that hand. Alyssa picked the bullfrog. Good job, Alyssa. Now, where does the bullfrog go in the winter? Yes, it goes in the mud. Ooh. I'm sure that's a slimy winter. The bullfrog and the mud, so slimy. Okay, next up we have Jonathan. Now, Jonathan picks the balls. Now, Jonathan, where do these little cuties go in the winter? Yes, they also go in the burrows. I wonder if the chipmunks run into them every once in a while. Okay, we have a couple more left. Yes, Sarah. The black bear. Look at this one. It looks so cute. You wouldn't even think it was so huge, right? So where do the black bears go in the winter? Correct. They go in a cave or a den. Good job. And last but not least, Scarlett. Yes, ma'am. The cardinal. And where does the cardinal go in the winter? Yeah, they go in the trees. They either find themselves, see how this tree has a little hole in it? They find themselves an area like this, or they go into deep in there in the trees to try to keep warm. Great job with those. We figured out where all of these animals went in the winter. So now what I would like you to do is I'd like you to go ahead and get out your writing journal. I have 2 questions that I have for you, and I want you to write down the questions and write down your response and what you think the answers to these questions are. So my first question is, what would happen if the animals could not find a place to go in the winter? My second question is, would that have any effect on our lives? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to write those questions down and just take a few minutes to write your answer and what you think your response to those questions are. When you're finished, go ahead and close your journal so that I know you're finished. All right, so I see everyone's journals closed. So I would like 2 people to answer some of our questions that we have today. So who would like to raise their hand and tell me what they think their answer to the questions are? Yes, Stephanie. Wow, that is great. So Stephanie said that she answered the question, what would happen if the animals could not find a place to go in the winter? And Stephanie's response to that question is that they would all die. That's so sad, but it's so true. The winter is so cold and animals would eventually die. That is correct. Thank you for that response. Would anyone else have a different response that they would like to share with the class? Please raise your hand. Yes, Timothy. Wow, that's a great observation. Timothy said that he thinks what would happen to the animals if they couldn't go to a place, if they could not find a place to go in the winter, is that they would migrate. That is so smart. Yes, they would start leaving their homes, right, to find somewhere else to live. And who knows, they might, like Stephanie said, they might die in the process. I mean, we really don't know. They're not the kind of animals like, for instance, monarch butterflies who do migrate every year. They already know what to do. They know the process. They know how to get it done. But these animals don't, right? So we don't know if they would get through. That was a great answer. Okay, so our next question is, would that have any effect on our lives? Who would like to answer that question? Yes, Johnny. Wow, Johnny, good job. Yes. So Johnny said that, like we learned yesterday in our food chain lesson, that if one animal is gone from the food chain permanently, it does have effect in our lives. That is correct. Yes, if there's no mice for the fox to eat, then what happens to the fox? They're gone. Wow, Johnny, way to bring in that next lesson. Good, that last lesson. Great job. Would anyone else like to answer what would that have any effect on our lives? Yes, Scarlett? Yes, correct, Scarlett. So Scarlett said, similar to Johnny, that yes, it would have effect on our lives because other animals would not have food to eat. That's correct, yes. If one important animal leaves the food chain, then what happens? Now it's just like a domino effect, right? Good job. That really makes me happy that y'all are incorporating what we learned yesterday into this lesson. Alrighty, class, so now that you all are experts on the animals and where they go in the winter, we're going to go ahead and do some independent work. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you get into groups of 2. And after you're in your group, you are going to get a worksheet that says over and under the snow, just like our book. And on this side, it has all of the animals. And on this side, it has where they go in the winter. So what you're going to do first is you're going to actually fill out this whole sheet by yourself. You're going to see shrew, and you're going to be like, where did the shrew go in the winter? Write it down. You're going to do that for every single animal. When you're done and your partner's done, y'all are going to get together and compare your answers. Did you get them all right? Did you have something different? And then try to figure out and go through that process and see how you can get your answers together to get the correct answer. Now, when you finish this, I want you to get out a sheet of paper individually. Now, this isn't group work after this. I want you to get out a sheet of paper and I want you to label it 3, 2, 1. And I'm actually going to write this on the board so we don't forget. So it's going to say 3, 2, 1. What I want you to do is I want you to write 3 things I learned today. 2 things I found is interesting. And 1 question. So what's one thing you're still wondering? All right, so I have that here on the board for us. It's going to be 3 things I learned today, 2 things I found interesting, and 1 question. So what you're going to do is after you're finished with the over and under the snow, you're going to get that notebook paper. You're going to answer out those 3, 2, 1 questions, and together you will turn them in. I'm so glad that we were able to observe and describe how animals use their environments to support their populations in the winter. Tomorrow, we're going to be learning more about the ecosystem and what happens if an animal's home is ruined. So, all right, guys, good job. Y'all had a great lesson today. Bye.